Hello, my friend. How are you doing? I hope everything is well. In today's video, I'll narrate an interesting story about a teacher who teaches many ways to practice English at home. I always bring stories like this, full of valuable content, to help you on your English learning journey. That's why I ask for your support to subscribe to the channel and activate notifications because it helps our project a lot. Also, please like, comment on what you thought of the lesson, and share it with a friend who could also benefit from this rich learning experience. Thank you so much. Let's get to the lesson. It was a calm morning when Professor Richard started yet another virtual class with his students, who were eagerly awaiting what he had to teach. Richard, always enthusiastic and passionate about teaching, knew that this day would be special. He had prepared content that he considered essential for success in learning any language, how to practice English at home. Richard understood the difficulties many of his students faced when trying to learn outside the classroom, so he was determined to provide detailed and effective strategies. With a welcoming smile, Richard began his class in an engaging manner. He knew that capturing the students' attention from the start was crucial to maintaining interest and motivation throughout the lesson. "Good morning, everyone," he said enthusiastically, moving closer to the camera. "Today, we're going to explore how you can turn your homes into English learning environments. I know that sometimes it's challenging to keep up the practice outside of class, but with the right strategies, you'll find that it's not only possible but also fun." Before diving into specific techniques, Richard made sure to highlight the importance of daily practice. "Learning a language is like learning to play a musical instrument," he began, using one of his favorite metaphors. "The more you practice, the more natural and automatic your skills become. It's not just about how much time you dedicate in a single day, but the consistency over time. Even if you only have 15 minutes available, that time is valuable if used effectively." He knew that this consistency would make the difference in his students' progress. The students, already familiar with Richard's contagious energy, listened attentively as he continued to develop his metaphor. "Imagine that learning English is like planting a tree. Every time you practice, you're watering that tree. Over time, the roots deepen, and the tree grows strong and healthy." The image he painted helped reinforce the idea of the importance of regular and careful practice. Richard then began discussing how to create an immersive environment at home, something he considered essential for those who want to learn a new language effectively. "One of the best ways to learn English is to surround yourself with the language," he explained seriously. "This doesn't mean you need to travel to an English-speaking country, but rather that you can bring English into your daily life." He knew that constant exposure to the language was one of the keys to learning and wanted his students to incorporate English into their daily lives naturally. He suggested some simple changes that could be made in daily life, such as changing the language of their phones and computers to English. This might seem like a small detail, but by doing this, you're forcing yourself to interact with the language all the time. It's a subtle but powerful way to familiarize yourself with new words and expressions. Richard also recommended labeling objects around the house with their English names. Label everyday objects. For example, put refrigerator on the fridge. This way, you're constantly reminded of the words and reinforcing your vocabulary without even realizing it. In addition to creating an immersive physical environment, Richard emphasized the importance of engaging with English-speaking culture. "Immerse yourselves in the language's culture," he advised. "Watch movies, series, YouTube videos, all in English. Listen to music and try to understand the lyrics. The more you expose yourself to English, the quicker you'll get used to it, and the more natural the learning process will become." He knew that this cultural immersion would help students emotionally connect with the language, making learning more enjoyable and effective. After discussing the importance of immersion, Richard turned his attention to the need for setting clear goals. He knew that many students struggled to maintain a study routine without the structure of a classroom. One of the biggest challenges when studying at home is the lack of structure, he explained. But this can be overcome if you set clear learning goals. Richard encouraged his students to develop a weekly study plan, something he believed was crucial for making progress. Decide how many hours per week you'll dedicate to English and divide that time among different skills, such as reading, writing, listening, and speaking, he suggested. For example, you can set aside 30 minutes a day to read an article in English and another 30 minutes to practice conversation with a friend or by using an app. He also emphasized the importance of being specific with goals. Instead of saying "I want to improve my English," say "I want to be able to hold a basic conversation about my hobbies in 3 months," or "I want to learn 20 new words per week." This gives you something concrete to work towards and a way to measure your progress. Richard then went on to talk about how technology can be a powerful ally in language learning. These days, we have an abundance of resources at our disposal that can make learning so much easier, he said enthusiastically. Make the most of it. He recommended using language learning apps like Duolingo, Babbel, and Memrise. These apps turn learning into a game, which makes daily practice more fun and less tedious. You can practice vocabulary, grammar, and even listen and repeat phrases in English. In addition to apps, Richard suggested that his students take advantage of podcasts and audiobooks as resources to improve listening comprehension. Podcasts are an excellent tool for this. You can listen to them while doing other activities, like cooking or walking, he explained. Choose topics you enjoy. This will keep your motivation high and make learning more enjoyable. He knew that by connecting English learning to personal interests, students would become more engaged. Richard also mentioned language exchange platforms like Tandem or HelloTalk as a great way to practice conversation. These platforms connect you with native English speakers who are learning Portuguese. You can help each other and practice conversation authentically, he said, encouraging students to engage in real interactions, which he knew was a vital part of language learning. With a serious look, Richard highlighted the importance of taking notes and regular review. You can learn 100 new words in a week, but if you don't review them, you're likely to forget most of them quickly, he warned. He encouraged students to keep a notebook for their notes. Whenever you learn something new, whether it's a word, an expression, or a grammar rule, write it down. And don't stop there. Review these notes regularly, preferably daily or weekly. He explained that organizing notes was also crucial for effective review. You can divide the notebook into sections, like vocabulary, grammar, idiomatic expressions, etc. Or, if you prefer, you can use apps like Anki to create digital flashcards. The important thing is to review constantly so that what you've learned sticks in your long-term memory. Richard knew that review was a practice often underestimated but essential for knowledge retention. As he continued the lesson, Richard addressed an aspect that many students often overlook: writing practice. Writing in English regularly will help you internalize grammatical structures and vocabulary, he asserted, aware that many students avoided writing due to insecurity or lack of habit. He suggested that students start with something simple, like keeping a diary in English. Write about what you did during the day, your thoughts, or something interesting you learned. Don't worry about being perfect. The important thing is to practice, he said with an encouraging tone. He knew that writing practice would help solidify what the students were learning, turning passive knowledge into active skills. For those who already felt more confident in writing, Richard recommended writing short texts on various topics, such as movie or series summaries, fictional letters, or even short stories. You can even challenge yourselves to write in different styles, like formal letters, emails, or social media posts. This will help expand your writing skills and make the exercise more varied and interesting. Richard was convinced that by practicing writing regularly and purposefully, students would notice significant improvements in their skills. The teacher then shared a technique he always liked to suggest, although he knew some students might find it a bit unusual: talking to oneself in English. Talking to yourself in English is a great way to practice speaking and gain confidence, he said with an encouraging smile. When you're alone, try describing what you're doing in English, or think in English instead of Portuguese, he suggested. This can be done during simple activities, like preparing a meal or tidying up the house. You can say out loud what you're doing or even ask yourself questions and answer them. Richard knew that while this practice might seem strange at first, it was extremely effective in helping students get used to thinking and speaking in English more naturally. By practicing this way, they would begin to internalize the language, making it a more integral part of their daily lives. He then moved on to one of his favorite techniques for improving pronunciation, using music and videos. Richard always believed that learning with fun was one of the most effective ways to keep students engaged. One of the best ways to improve pronunciation is to sing along with English songs or repeat lines from videos, he explained, with a sparkle in his eyes showing his enthusiasm for the topic. Choose songs you like and try to follow along with the lyrics, he suggested. Sing loudly, imitate the singer's pronunciation. This not only helps with pronunciation but also makes practice more enjoyable. Richard knew that music had the power to motivate and engage students in a way that few other methods could. You can also watch videos or movies and repeat the characters' lines, trying to mimic their accent and intonation, he continued. This repetition technique is excellent for improving pronunciation and fluency, as well as capturing the nuances of spoken language. Finally, Richard addressed an aspect he believed was crucial for students' progress: engaging with online English learning communities. He knew that language practice needed to be social, and interacting with others, especially native speakers, could significantly speed up students' progress. You don't have to learn alone. There are countless online communities of people who, like you, are learning English, he said, encouraging his students to actively participate in these communities. Richard mentioned forums, social media groups, and platforms like Reddit, where students could find discussions in English on a wide range of topics. Join discussions, ask questions, share your experiences. This will not only help you practice English in a real context but also allow you to be part of a support and learning network, he explained. You can learn a lot from others, and teaching is also an excellent way to reinforce your own learning. As he wrapped up the lesson, Richard emphasized the importance of combining all these strategies into a personalized study routine. He knew there was no single magic formula for learning English but rather a combination of practices that, when applied consistently and enthusiastically, could lead to remarkable results. Remember, each of you has your own pace and learning style. Try different techniques and find what works best for you, he advised, with an encouraging tone. Before saying goodbye, Richard left one last motivational message. Learning a new language is a journey, and every step you take is a victory. Don't worry about perfection, but focus on progress. Every new word you learn, every sentence you can form, is a step forward. Celebrate these small milestones, and never give up. I believe in each of you, and I know that, with dedication and practice, you will achieve your goals. With these words of encouragement, Richard concluded his lesson, leaving his students not only with a set of practical strategies to improve their English at home but also with renewed motivation to continue learning and growing. Richard's enthusiasm and passion for teaching were contagious, and his students knew that with a teacher like him by their side, they were on the right path to success in learning English. Congratulations on making it this far. Know that you are a winner for practicing your English once again. Our goal with this channel is to make learning English more accessible. Having you here with us is very satisfying. Like the video and comment if this content helped you in any way. Subscribe to stay updated with new lessons, as we always bring new content here. Thank you very much, and see you next time.